Hello and welcome to the Johnny Gets Cash YouTube channel where I buy, fix and sell cars for profit. This is the latest video in the series where I'm breathing fresh life into a 20-year-old Ford Focus that was destined for the scrap heap. So far you've seen me sort out some rust issues, send the car out for a full service, thoroughly clean away years of dirt and grime, and most recently give this old Focus a full exterior detail and paint correction. So join me today as I get ready to send the car in for its MOT, as well as changing some interior pieces to make this thing as good as it can be. Okay, so the Focus is almost done. Last time you saw that final exterior detail and it's made the Focus come up really well. I'm still surprised how good this car looks. Anyway, the next phase is to get a new MOT put on the car so that it can go off to its new home and the new owner's got a whole year without any worries. So basically what I'm going to be doing today is just going around the car making sure that all the things I can check prior to MOT have been checked. So that's things like tyres, brakes, bulbs, wiper blades, screen wash jets, all that sort of stuff. There's one element I know needs changing. When I was editing a previous video I saw that one of my brake lights is out. Obviously that get picked up in a bulb check anyway, but I already know that now. So I'm going to check these things, make sure it's as good as it can be. Then I'm going to take it off to MOT, get a nice fresh 12 months on it, hopefully without any advisories, but that remains to be seen. Hopefully it'll have a clean sheet. We will see at the time. So the first thing I can do, just to minimise the chance of any silly reasons for a fail, is to check these things. So I'm going to go around the car now, look at those bits, and then we'll take it to MOT. Okay, so as you've seen, I was just testing the rear wiper, and although the wiper seems to be okay, the wash part of the rear screen doesn't appear to be working. Now, it doesn't really matter for MOT because this isn't part of the test. However, I like things to all be working. If it's on the car, it's got to work. So yes, the wiper's good. If the washer's not working, I need to find out why. So in the case of this Focus, the wash jet is part of the rear brake light assembly, or the higher brake light assembly. So I'm going to take that off. I'm suspecting a block jet, mainly because being on the back of a car, especially one with a shape like this, dust and dirt can work its way into that nozzle and it can kind of block up that way. So first thing to check, take this out and I'll just check and see if it is a blockage. I'll blow it through with the airline. Let's have a look. Okay, so there is the supply for the rear wash. Try and get that off gently. So the nozzle's actually glued into this assembly by the look of it. So what I'll have to do is get the airline and just blow that through and make sure there's nothing in there. Okay, so let's give this a go through just gently. Okay, that nozzle's certainly clear. So it could be either a blockage in the line or the line has separated somewhere and the water is not reaching the wash nozzle as it should. Regardless, I'll put it back together and test it one more time. Just to be sure there wasn't a tiny amount of grit stopping it working. Okay, so let's try that again. I'll hold it for a second just to make sure any water in the system can make its way to that nozzle. but it doesn't appear like it's going to. So now I need to figure out why that isn't working. Okay, so I've removed that liner to reveal the reservoir for the screen wash. As you can see, it's all a little bit dirty and minging in there, so I'll clean all that up. But what I really need to get to the bottom of is why the front screen wash is working but not the rear. I'm assuming it's going to be a popped off pipe or a split somewhere. So first things first, I'll clean all this rubbish out and a better look at all the supply lines and see what's what. So a little bit of a strange one. While I was working on that front wheel arch, I was checking all the pump and the pipes and everything like that, making sure it was all okay. I didn't actually change anything, I just cleaned the arch out, and then I thought I'd just run the pump again just to get some evidence of it leaking, and everything started working. So what I think has happened is, it's such a long run of pipe to this rear wash jet, longer than I'm used to I guess, it just hadn't had a chance to purge the air through. So anyway, that's all sorted now. The screen wash is working perfectly. The rear blade, it seems, is rubbish. It's not clearing the screen properly, so that wiper blade is on the list to change. The front wash and wipe is absolutely fine. The blades are good, the jets are fine. So really, in terms of wiper blades, no issues apart from that rear one. Not part of the MOT, as I've said, but I want it to be proper. I want it to be at least working. So that blade will be getting changed. So now I'm going to crack on with the rest of the MOT pre-checks. Okay, so the Focus is now back from its MOT, and unfortunately it did fail. So despite me doing those pre-MOT checks, it has failed on a cracked rear coil spring, which of course is something that I couldn't see on inspection, and it wasn't obvious when I was underneath the car before. Not a big deal. I've already got another spring ready to go in there. That will be getting done soon. So that being all it's failed on, not a problem. I'm quite happy with that. The advisories were surface corrosion on the trailing arms and on the other rear spring. Really nothing at all, so they're going to get brushed back and recoated and or repainted, etc. Not a problem. If that's the worst that we're facing at MOT, then I think we've had a bit of a result. So as I say, it's failed on a cracked spring, got a new spring here, that's ready to go in, but I've got something else I'm going to be doing to the car, something I said I wouldn't do, so bear with me and I'll explain a little bit more. So if you recall back to the episode when I did the interior clean of the Focus, I did mention there was a couple of small areas like the burns in this front seat and also a couple of burns in one of the rear seats. And I said I wasn't going to address those because this is a cheap car, and to find this matching interior would be a bit of a nightmare on an old car like this, and for a cheap vehicle like this, it's not really worth my time. Now, a lot of you guys didn't like that. I get it. You've seen how well the car's come up and you want to see the whole job complete, which I understand. I do get that. Normally, I wouldn't chase around the country looking for a matching seat for a car like this, but I do agree with you guys. It's come up so well that it'd be a shame to leave it with those cigarette burns in the seats. It's a silly thing to do. So, I've spent a bit of a daft amount of time looking for a matching gear interior in that same shade and that same pattern and in the velour, so that I can replace the driver's seat and the base of that rear seat. Now I have actually today managed to go and collect the seats I need, but it's not as straightforward as that. So come over to the bench and I'll show you exactly what I've got and what I've got to do to rectify the issues we've got here. So here are the seats that I have found to replace those damaged items in the Focus. As you can see, I've got a rear seat base and I've got an entire driver's seat. Now in a perfect world, it'd be a case of whipping that seat out and putting this one in, obviously after giving it a bit of a clean, because although these are completely damage free, as you can see, they're really quite dirty and dusty, but that's not a problem. I can clean them just as good as what's in there already, so that's absolutely fine. The reason it's not so straightforward as just swapping the seats is because this one's in lovely condition, but the armrest is completely broken and it's just not perfect. So normally you'd say, well, why did you go for that one? Well, let me tell you, finding a set of Mark 1 gear velour seats in this shade and with this pattern was hard enough. I found a few sets, all damaged, or none of them were perfect. These were the absolute best of a bad bunch. Now the reason I've gone for these is because although there is this slight bit of damage to talk about, that really doesn't matter, because the only bit I'm concerned about is the seat base. So what I'm going to have to do is take the seat base off this donor seat, take the seat base out of the Focus, the one with the cigarette burns in it, and swap the two. Obviously I'll give this a thorough clean before I do that. The rear seat base is no problem at all. That's a very, very easy swap, just needs a good clean. So as much as I'd like to say I'm going to take that out and put this one in, it's not going to happen. So I'm going to strip this one apart now and then I'll change the bases over. And that is the seats done. So I've replaced that base and I've replaced the base on the rear seat. Really good match. Obviously you'd expect no less, being it's the same type of material, but it just gets rid of those burns, so perfect. Now the other thing which I mentioned and you guys have commented on is the steering wheel. Now finding a steering wheel the same as that, which hasn't worn out like this one has, is basically impossible, given that all these cars are of a certain age. There's no damage as such, it's just the marks you can see are where the coating has come off of the wheel outer over the years. So being that I can't find another wheel that's going to replace that and look good, I have got another solution, and it is a treatment kit which is supposed to recondition this steering wheel to look as good as new. So what I'm going to do now is crack on. I'm going to mask off this center section and just retreat the whole outer of this steering wheel and hope that when that dries it looks a lot fresher than that. I mean, it can't look much worse, so I reckon it's going to be a win-win. just finished doing that treatment kit on the steering wheel, and I've got to say, I'm absolutely bowled over by the results. I mean, I think that looks so much better than it did, and that was just a quick application kit. So that was really, really good. If you're interested in that kit, I will put a link in the description just in case you're facing a similar problem to me and you can't find a steering wheel that's in good condition. That really has sorted out that steering wheel lovely. Anyway, now that that's done, the seats are done, all those little bits and pieces are finished on the interior. So that means all we've got to do now is sort out that broken coil spring on the rear and get this thing put back in for MOT. It should then pass, and that means it will be ready for sale. But that is going to be in another video. So for now, thank you ever so much for watching, and I will catch you on the next one. Cheers.